Albania Travel and Tourism, COVID Impact Report. The state of the travel and tourism industry contributed 49.1% less to the GDP of Albania between 2019 and 2020 due to COVID-19. Albania lost 1 in 11 jobs since the outbreak of COVID-19. In 2019, 334 million jobs in the country contributed to Albania's travel and tourism industry. The GDP contribution for the tourism sector in Albania went from 20.5% to 10.6% from 2019 to 2020. International visitor impact on spending went from $271.0 billion to $125 billion, a 53.9% loss from 2019 to 2020. Domestic visitor impact on spending went from $80.4 billion to $41.5 billion or 48.3%. The numbers comparing domestic core international spending was 23% to 77% in 2019 and 25% to 75% in 2020. The leisure travel market went up to reflect 2% more leisure traveler spend in Albania. The top 5 inbound arrivals to Albania in 2020 were: North Macedonia, 16%, Greece, 8%, Italy, 7%, Montenegro, 7%, Poland, 3%. The top 5 outbound markets where Albanians like to travel to are: Greece, Italy, Turkey, Montenegro, Bulgaria. This data, based on the WTTC Economic Trends Report, reveals COVID-19's dramatic impact on travel and tourism around the world. Prior to the pandemic, travel and tourism, including its direct, indirect and induced impacts, accounted for 1 in 4 of all new jobs created across the world, 10.6% of all jobs, 334 million, and 10.4% of global GDP, $9.2 trillion. International visitor spending amounted to $1.7 trillion in 2019, 6.8% of total exports, 27.4% of global services exports. The research also shows that the travel and tourism sector suffered a loss of almost $4.5 trillion to reach $4.7 trillion in 2020, with the contribution to GDP dropping by a staggering 49.1% compared to 2019, relative to a 3.7% GDP decline of the global economy in 2020. In 2019, the travel and tourism sector contributed 10.4% to global GDP, a share which decreased to 5.5% in 2020 due to ongoing restrictions to mobility. In 2020, 62 million jobs were lost, representing a drop of 18.5%, leaving just 272 million employed across the sector globally, compared to 334 million in 2019. The threat of job losses persists as many jobs are currently supported by government retention schemes and reduced hours, which without a full recovery of travel and tourism could be lost. Domestic visitor spending decreased by 45%, while international visitor spending declined by an unprecedented 69.4%.